Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everybody to another edition of the Sports Affiliation. Just so glad for you to be here. Looks like we just got Evan just in time. Look at him go. It is Lakered out in here, D. We'll have to hold it down. No doubt about it. But thank you all for joining today. It is a very special day. Happy April 14th. Spring is here. We got the end of the regular season, the beginning of what most call the second season in the NBA. But before we get to that, let's break down this fine group that we have here today to talk about everything NBA. We're talking awards, we're talking play-in, we're talking the games today. We're talking betting, we're talking all kinds of stuff. All right, so let's get going. So from my positioning, we got former off the backboard host. Glad to be back talking some basketball with none other than Rico. Rico, Modern World, how you doing today?
Good, man. I know it's been a minute, but glad to be back talking some basketball with my boys and stuff. It's the end of the regular season. Playoffs gonna be here before we know it, and that's when the fun really starts. So, as always, I'm glad to be on camera talking with you boys, and happy to be back.
Glad that you're back, man. Fellow co-host Deontay, how's it going, man? How you doing over there?
Well, howdy, gentlemen. It's been a long time since I've been on the show. So, but it's the NBA playoffs, man. I'm excited. And, hopefully we get to see some of our favorite teams advance. And, I'm just all here for it. So it's good to see you guys again.
It's great to see you too. Working around. Welcome to the show, JR, man. Glad to have you on, man. Always holding it down with the basketball. Glad to finally be on the show with you. How you living?
Man, the only reason why I get up this early is either my daughter's kicking me in the face or hoops. That's it. That's the list.
Did both happen this morning, or was it just hoops?
Hey, guess what? We 2 for 2 this morning, baby.
All right. All right. You take that free throw percentage all the time. Evan, what's up? So glad you're here, man. How you doing? Both of y'all in San Diego. So what's going on, Evan?
Likewise, it is about 7:30 a.m. here, but you can get me up, as you know, Iggy, to talk some sports. Other than that, I would still be sound asleep while y'all get things started over there in the other parts of this country. But I'm stoked, man. What's going on, Ari? Happy to have you, brother. Man, I'm good, man. NBA playoffs. What else? What else can we ask for? The time is here, baby.
Yeah, man, I know this is what we get excited about. There's a lot of things to talk about. I'm going to bring up the rankings real quick, and we're just going to hop right into it. Like you said, we only have a couple hours actually until the first set of games, East Coast games. All the first games are Eastern Conference games. A lot to be decided over there. Yeah, no. Alabama's in the Central Time Zone, right, Rico?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're covered East, Central, Mountain, and West. We've got all of them here. That's pretty rare. So, hey, if you're watching the show, just put a comment out there. You see the Sports Addict Network comment, and get your comments in there. If you want them, get them on X, man. We want everybody to be a part of the conversation. That's what the Sports Affiliation is about: inclusiveness, positivity. That's kind of our mantra. All right, and of course, we love talking hooping. It's probably I'd say we almost have as many NBA like content creators or talking heads or whatever you want to say about us as we do football. Now, we all love football too, but we've got a group right here pretty passionate about the NBA. Roxanne as well. She'll be back with us at another time. But man, we got a lot of knowledge here, East to West Coast, different teams, a lot of Lakers per usual. But let's go ahead and share the screen right here. I'm going to pull it up, guys. Put us to the side. Cut in the grass. I love it, man.
All right.
That's not the one I wanted. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, here we go. That was too much for me. So I'm going to pull up the rankings real quick. We'll get to the betting lines here in a little bit. Let's just get off to it. Is there any MVP candidate or, award, NBA award that you think that's up for debate? And we'll dish it off first. We'll go to Rico on this one first, and then we'll just kind of open it up after that, and we'll start somewhere else with the next one. So, Rico, what do you think?
I mean, you look at it over the last couple of weeks. I know a lot of people have been talking about it. It's pretty much been like a two-horse race for MVP, in my opinion. You go back and forth between Luka and Jokic. I mean, they're two of the best players in the league. As you look at the way the NBA is going right now, it's being tailored more to like the international game, because you get a lot of these international guys that are literally taking over. I mean, I named two of them. You can look at Jokic as well. Victor, who's, in my opinion, everybody else should be the consensus rookie of the year. It's not even a debate. But you go back and forth between what Luka and Jokic have done this year. I know Embiid was pretty much leading it for most of the season, before he got hurt. And that's a whole different situation as far as we can talk about later with how Philly's going to do. But you look at what the plethora of things that Luka's done all year. He's having I think he leads the league in triple doubles. He's the scoring leader. He's at like a 70-point outbreak. Like the man's been pretty much backpacking for Dallas all season. I know he's got Kyrie and stuff like that, and we'll get into the match and stuff later. But his honestly, you can't sit here and say without a shadow of a doubt is going to be one or the other. I know a lot of people probably leaning more towards Jokic because the way that the Nuggets are playing towards the end of the season, they're in prime position for the number 1 seed while Dallas is sitting in that 4 or 5 spot. But you can't just discredit what Luka's been doing like for most of the year. He's one of the better players in the league, and I feel like he doesn't really get enough credit because of where he's at in terms of like being in Dallas in that 4 or 5 spot. Now, if they were sitting in a better position, like they're maybe in that top 3, then you would have a lot more people arguing that he should be, the front runner. But I think primarily it's gonna go to Jokic. That's what a lot of people have been saying. But I would be hard pressed to say that Luka does not deserve his flowers. And the fact of the matter is, I feel like people are getting, I guess, voter fatigue from him, and he hasn't even won an award yet. So
he's always the front runner. He's been the front runner the past 2 years, and that's what's interesting about the MVP race. I do want to get to, because you said an interesting comment, Rico. I do want to get to Deontay here in a little bit because he's got the number 1 team, but nobody's talking about Tatum as being the front runner. And you said Luka deserves it if he were the front runner. JR, what do you think about that, man? No mention of SGA right there by our guy Rico, but who do you think? Is there any kind of, is there any season award that you think is up for debate, or how do you feel about the MVP, or what are your thoughts in general?
Well, we want to go ahead and quickly address that. We do have a voting blog up at the TSA network.com showing our current record and our history of how we've been voting collectively as writers from inside and outside. I myself have put SG up there twice. I've also put Luka up there once. And it's not, as Rico had alluded to, as far as voting fatigue against Jokic, it was, and Ari actually mentioned this in the comments, as part of my personal definition of the value part in a player is how that player has raised the roof, raised the ceiling for the value of their respective team. SGA has actually done a little bit more singularly as a player for me than Jokic has done for Denver, but it's more of a 1A, 1B. But right there in the mix, like I said, I've also voted for Luka. And Luka's offensive performance has particularly gotten Dallas from out of the playoffs to in the playoffs in one season. All respect due to Kai, but if you just go to the sportsnetwork.com, we put the reasons up there. You guys go check it out. And again, for this week, I got Luka. I know it's going to be Jokic, and I won't be mad because you cannot be mad. And we can get into the Tatum comments in a little bit because Tatum does deserve an honorable mention considering how well Boston has done as a team overall. But right now, it's Luka.
Luka, I love it. D, what do you think about it? Do you have any disagreement with that? They're both kind of leaning towards Luka. Do you think Tatum deserves more credit? Do you think it's Jokic? Or is there any other award that you think should be up for debate?
Honestly, the person that I do see winning MVP has to be Luka. Like, I know that someone in the comments mentioned define what your definition of MVP is, and in my definition of the NBA, it's I look at all these different teams. Like take a look at Denver, what they're doing with Jokic. Take a look at what Boston is doing with Tatum, and look at what Dallas has done with Luka, right? So I'm defining MVP as if you take a certain star player out of that team, what team is going to be impacted more from the loss of that player? And me personally, I think the team that's gonna I think the team that's just gonna lose more, or so, for example, like I think the team that's gonna lose more so often without their star player on it, it would have to be Dallas, to be honest. I mean, we all know what Jokic can do, and I wouldn't be surprised if he won his second MVP. I mean, Tatum is already on a star-studded team, so I really can't envision Tatum being an MVP, although I will definitely say that he can be a front runner. But with Luka, it's just like, okay, great. So outside of Luka, who else do they have? And yeah, they have Kyrie, but can we trust Kyrie to just, lead that team by himself? No, we can't. So I'm
Y'all don't-
looking. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, I was just gonna joke. You don't think Daniel Gafford could carry him, but no, I agree. Look, Luca, dude, you're right. D, I just want to say, I think y'all bring up a good point. Luca's a front runner for a reason. They know that built around Dallas. He has the ball a lot more than most people. Sabonis has the most triple doubles in the league right now, which is interesting. He doesn't get looked at that much. That's the Kings for you, Sacramento. It's kind of bizarre when you get out there in California. You can play good ball, but you're still going to be the third or fourth best team talked about at best. Yeah, no, Kobe White, I think he deserves a little bit of chance to be the most improved player of the year. He's done so much with DeRozan and Vukic. It's supposed to be Zach LaVine, but he got injured this year. Best of luck to him in his recovery. But Tyrese Maxey will probably win that. Victor Wembanyama is probably going to win defensive or rookie of the year. Some people probably put in some wagers on him to win defensive player of the year, and that conversation kind of it started skyrocketing as we get closer to the end of the year. I mean, he's great. I think he deserves it, but he's just not. They're just not going to give it to a rookie. They're going to give it to Rudy. They're going to give the MVP to Jokic, and that'll be the end of their awards because, people, like you said, fatigue. People get tired of seeing it. People get sympathetic to these old heads, like Jordan and Larry Bird and people like that. Like, oh, he doesn't deserve to be on the same level. None of these guys, LeBron, nobody deserves to be on the same level as those guys. For some of these people that have, that are media voters, and I hear a lot of that as well. I just kind of think that that's interesting, but I don't think there's going to be any surprises. I think we're going to see what we have there, and I just think that that's what we expect to happen with the votes. Evan, anything you want to say about any of the awards before we go to your thoughts on today's games and who's going to get to the play-in and how it's going to happen in the play-in?
I'll just add on the MVP, real quick. I mean, to me, it's SGA. He's probably not going to win it, but the Thunder won 40 games last year. They've won 56 games. He doesn't have a number two like anybody else has in the league. And I don't take away from the other teams. You can't go wrong. I mean, statistically, all these guys, and you take any one of them off their team, like the Nuggets are maybe fighting for a play-in spot today. The Mavs are probably missing the playoffs. Like, we see Brunson in the comments. The Knicks, they won 40-something games last year and are again at 49. I mean, the increase in what OKC has done and the group of, no names. I know they have Chet, right? Jalen Williams is coming on, but that's what we got in OKC. Like, SGA has brought that team to a possible number one seed in a conference that is, separated by nothing, right? I mean, Boston is 16 games ahead of the 2 seed. Minnesota,
14,
Denver, and OKC are 11 games ahead of a team that's not even in the play-in game. I mean, the competition is real. And on that, the Thunder head coach, Mark Denal as well, he has to be coach of the year. You take a team from 40 to 56 wins. I just think that has to be recognized. But, what Jokic and Luka do statistically, I wouldn't be mad either way. We watch Jokic. He's not on the court. That team is completely different. But, again, they just have more to me, right? None of those teams are the same. But SGA, 40 to 56 wins. That matters. Where the team is at is one of the biggest things to me, and these other teams are kind of already there regardless. So other than that, man, it's still Monk for the 6th man. I like what you said about Wemby. It'd be nice to see him get Defensive Player of the Year. No knock on Rudy, but, I think Wemby can wait a little bit. As long as he stays healthy, he will have to clear off a big shelf for a few Defensive Players of the Year, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Wembanyama, like right now, like I said, Jokic took the baton from LeBron without anybody even really, realizing it or being aware of it, right? But Victor Wembanyama can take that torch really quickly from Jokic, like next year, maybe the year after that, And I just think that's kind of what's going to happen with Wemby. I think he's going to be really good. Real quick to wrap up the MVP: Jokic, Doncic, SGA, all, I think Giannis is probably going to get some top 5 votes. All world-born players, not USA-born players. The only USA-born player that's even close to the conversation is Tatum. And and like he's been very selfless this year. D, I don't know if you're with us or not, but he's like improved. Why is Brown's improvement playing? Because Tatum's being selfless with the ball and being more of a point guard as a forward. Why has Kristaps Porzingis got 13 or 14 games above 30 points? Because Tatum's being selfless with the ball. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and move it on. This is going to be more of an open conversation, so let's just kind of talk about who we think will be in the 6th seed for the Eastern Conference, or excuse me, the 7th seed in the 8th seed matchup for the Eastern Conference. We already have Chicago and Atlanta. Game time Wednesday. Game time, believe 5:10 Mountain Time. Don't quote me on that, but I believe so. And who's going to be the 6th seed? Who's going to be the 7th seed? Let me pull up the rankings and let's just get the conversation flowing right here with this, fellas, because I think it's going to be quite interesting. I got to switch screens so I can see it, but I believe you said you can all see it right now. Like you said, Milwaukee 14, New York 14, Cleveland 15, Orlando 17, Indiana 17, Philadelphia 17. Those are all the games back from Boston, and Miami 18. Who's going to get that? What's happening today? What's going down in those games? Just whoever wants the floor, go ahead.
So from what I see from the lineup of games today, the best chances to make the playoffs right now out of the 6th, 7th, and 8th team, of course, that's the Pacers, that's the Sixers, and then that's the Heat, all respectively. The Pacers have the best chance to get the playoff. It's just for the matchup, for how the tiebreaker is going to go, for the performance going towards the end of the season. The Pacers are probably going to be a lock. The question is whether Miami's going to play at home or if they're going to end up playing in Philly. I think that's going to be the biggest question answered at the end of the day. That 6th, 7th, 8th is basically locked right there. I think there's too much to overcome for those respective teams in order for anything to really flip flop. But I'm looking at Miami and Philly in the play-in game.
Looking at Miami play, saying Indiana is going to take care of business against Atlanta. I believe they are 15-point favorites. Rico, what do you got to say on who do you think is going to be in that 7-8 matchup? I mean, don't forget Orlando's playing Milwaukee. That's a close game too.
I was going to bring that up too. I had a tweet out, I think it was like earlier last week, that said and I may be crazy for this at the time, but I said screw it. I was like, is Orlando at least in a position of where they could possibly make an Eastern Conference Finals run? And that was when they were in like that 3 spot. They since dropped down to 5, and they do play Milwaukee today. And I know Milwaukee is still fighting to hold that 2 seed. If they lose today, they could drop down to 3. So that's something you got to watch out for. So that might be a good game as well. I'm still feeling like that's probably gonna. People look at that game, may not look at that game as that important, but I feel like Milwaukee's gonna want to have a better chance of being the 2 seed as opposed to the 3, especially since Giannis has missed the last couple of games with an injury and stuff like that. As far as that 7-8 matchup, you're looking there. Hell, Philly could just as easily win today, and they jump into 6 and push Indiana into that playing spot too, which I was really high on them, but I don't really see Indiana making much of a run this year, anyways. Though. Especially with all the injuries they've had. I know Tyrese has been doing pretty well, but he's been up and down with injuries most of the year. I will say, Celtics should wash Washington. I'm sorry, like that's not even much of a game today.
Yeah.
And plus, all of our starters are pretty much resting at this point. So
it's still big favorites.
Still big favorites. Philly and Brooklyn, Philly should take that one too. So, like I said, that Bucks Magic game is probably going to be one that a lot of people need to pay attention to. I know I would if I'm a fan of either of those teams, obviously, even if I'm not. Just so I know Orlando's been doing pretty good, throughout this year, and I know going back to the last 7, we were talking about awards. I've been on the bandwagon of Jamal Mosley being Coach of the Year after what he's done with Orlando as well. So, just that's my opinion on that. But I feel like that's kind of where we're at right now. And as far as those 1 o'clock games, but you definitely pay attention to that Bucks Magic game. That's going to be a fun one.
All right, D. Any thoughts on who do you have for 7? You kind of broke it down, Rico. Do you have a definite answer, or who you think will be playing in 7-8 game?
It's probably going to be that. I'm gonna say, I'll say Philly and Miami. It'll probably be Philly Miami.
Okay.
And Philly's probably going to end up being hosting that game. So we'll see how Miami's going to work that out with them.
Okay, I love it. Hey, D, so you're hearing pretty much Miami, Philly in the 7-8. Do you feel the same way? And as a Boston fan, are you concerned about either one of those teams if they're in the 8 seed?
So, all right. So this is what I have. Well, this is who I have as 7 and 8 seeds. I have pretty much the Sixers as the 7, and then Miami as the 8th. Now, if Philly does host, I believe that they're just gonna flat out wash the Heat, right? Because looking at the standings, right? Philly, I believe, is on a 7-game winning streak, and in the
Yeah,
NBA,
let's go
it's
back
all
up.
about And in the NBA, it's all about momentum. The NBA is all about who can get hot at the right time, right? And before this, I mean, the Heat were just basically, I mean, looking at it, I mean, they were pretty much what 6-4 their last 10 games, while the Sixers are excuse me 7-3 of their last 10, right? It's all about who can get hot at the right time, and I believe with the coming back of Joel Embiid, that the Sixers were able to find their spark. And it's not just Embiid, but you got to look at Tyrese Maxey too, and look at how he elevated this team as well. So like I said, I'm keeping close tabs on everybody. But going to the second question, do I fear one of these teams being the 7 and 8 seed? No, I don't. We pretty well. I mean, Boston's history with the Sixers as it pertains to the playoffs, I mean, it's basically not a rivalry. So I believe we can wash the Sixers no problem. The Miami Heat, it's just kind of like a back and forth contest, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's so I really can't say that we're gonna instantaneously wash the Heat. However, this looking at the Miami Heat as of late, I mean, I don't know. Like it's just something about Miami that's just not making me feel a little a little extra confident in them, right? That they can beat us in a 7-game series, right? I feel like this is a much weaker iteration of the Miami Heat than we've seen last year, right? They don't have any of their role players. They don't have Gabe Vincent anymore. They don't have Caleb Martin or Max Strus anymore. If you look at Miami what they were as an 8 seed last year, I mean, Jimmy had that one spectacular playoff series, and then he just dissipated away. Like he was still there, like he was still contributing to their cause, but he really wasn't as efficient as what he was during the Miami the my not the Miami the Milwaukee Bucks series, right? They were just pretty much an essential carried by their role players, right? But now they don't have their role players anymore. I mean, yeah, sure they have Duncan Robinson and
Robinson. Yeah.
yeah, they have Tyler
Terry
Hero, but
Rozier.
not
Terry
Terry
Rozier.
Rozier, right? And it's just not it's not really screaming, that the Celtics should be afraid of them, but we are gonna have to keep on our toes when it comes down to the Heat. So that's just kind of my opinion for it.
I love it, man. I love it. Yeah, not intimidated. I think this, TD Garden, man, they're going for what? Let me pull that screen back up
I mean,
again.
yeah, and the
They're
thing about it is that the Celtics have home court advantage throughout all the playoffs. So
yeah, and
there's really no excuse as to why we should be struggling with teams when we have the home court advantage. But like I said, I'm waiting for the playoffs to start to, fully make, these deep analytical thoughts. But as of right now, as it pertains to the end of the regular season, I I don't think we have a right to fear whoever comes out as either the 7th or the 8th seed. I just don't see it.
Yeah, they're going for their 37th win at the TD Garden tonight. That's unreal. Yeah, Boston's going to be hard to take down. They're going to be hard to be. It's going to be hard to go in and win 2 games, at TD Garden if you have to do that. Evan, do you have any disagreements with Philadelphia, Miami, and can you take us to the Western Conference where it's wide open in the play-in? And I know there's going to be a lot of opinions on it. But what are your thoughts on Philadelphia, Miami? And then take us down the Western Conference. I do want to say there's a comment that D said about Tyrese Maxey carrying Philadelphia. They did okay, but Jalen Brunson did much better carrying the Knicks without Julius Randle. I do want to highlight that point, but Maxey does deserve Tobias Harris too. To be honest, he's quietly gone a lot better. That's going to be interesting to see what happens with Embiid. But Evan, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Philadelphia, definitely a different team with Embiid, but unfortunately, I mean, they probably draw the Celtics if they can find a way in. So probably not the draw you want to have. I will mention if Orlando doesn't win that game today and Milwaukee with plenty to play for, I expect Dame to show out today against the Magic. I think Dame does his thing. If Milwaukee wins that game and the Sixers and Pacers win, Orlando's in that playing game. I mean, we got to mention that they're all of a sudden, in that 7 spot, and it's a different matchup than what you guys are saying. And I think that's possibly what's going to happen here. I don't think it's a gimme that Orlando wins that game. I know that Ari in the comments, as a Knicks fan, Magic beat the Bucks, and they can, but I don't know, man. The Magic might be the team in that playing game. So either way, I can easily see that happening. And I love the Jamal Mosley shout out. I mentioned him on one of those polls. You got to love what he's doing, man. Orlando was, they put a team together for him to lose on purpose, within 18 months ago. And now they're, in the middle of a playoff mix. So that's pretty sweet. Yeah, Boston doesn't have a problem with any of these teams. Boston has to beat themselves. Boston is about to win their 64th game of the season. Like, none of these teams are beating Boston in a 7-game series. They would just have to have an ultimate choke. And I know we like to talk about that with, the Celtics, but Tatum's 25 years old, 26 years old.
26.
He's been to 4 Eastern Conference Finals, and I'm a Laker fan. Y'all know this, but I'm not going to hate on what this team has done. They're quietly not talked about enough for a team that's on the verge of winning 64 games. Like, in a conference, like they're 16 games ahead of the next best team. And offensively and defensively, you look statistically, nobody in the NBA is close to what this team does on paper. And that doesn't always transfer. We know that. I'm not giving them the crown. I'm just saying nobody in the East really has any business taking this team very far in a series if the Celtics play the game they've played over the last 81 games. I don't see how you can look at it any differently. These other teams don't have – is Giannis healthy? The Bucks are probably the most competition in that league. Like, I know they've been ugly at times, but they still can play defense when they want to. The playoffs, you hear me say it all the time, the playoffs are not the regular season. Orlando is not a playoff team. Miami is not a playoff team. Those teams don't belong making deep runs in the playoffs. They don't score enough. You can't be ranked 20 and below and make a run in the playoffs. It doesn't happen. Those outliers, go back and look 30, 40 years. They don't happen. They are very few and far between. So could it happen? Yes. But for me to put my stake in any of those teams that it's going to happen, I can't trust it, and I'm rooting for Boston to lose. I see JR there wanting to say something. So
I just got one question.
Uh-oh.
Anyone can answer it. Not a hater. It is a microcosm of the entire Celtics season. Deontay, which Celtics team is going to show up that first round?
Depending on, it really doesn't matter who we play in the first round. The type of Celtics team that I expect to see is the type of team that, has won 63, about to be 64 games, right? If you look at it statistically, I know I could be a little bit wrong on the numbers. I believe we are ranked 2nd or 3rd in offensive. No, actually, no. We're ranked 1st in offensive efficiency. We're 3rd in defensive efficiency. So I'm not too worried, right? You're gonna look at a Celtics team that has been fully rested, right? You're gonna look at this. We really don't have to worry about the play-in tournament because hello, we have the number 1 seed all locked up. So, but like I said, going back to JR's question, the type of Celtics team that you're gonna see is a team that can, when they are on a streak, that they will literally demolish you with the 3, because we're one of the teams that have been yeah, you know what? Yeah, let's say efficient from 3 as of late. So, and even if we can't
percentage,
and if we can't hit, and if we can't destroy with the 3, then look, I have no doubt that Porzingis will clean up, and with the addition of Derek White and Drew Holiday, like, I have faith in those guys, right? I already know what Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum can do, right? It's just a matter of them just actually showing up and then just taking the game by storm. But even if Tatum doesn't take control, this year we don't even need him to take control as we did in previous seasons, because like I said, with the acquisitions of Drew Holiday, who I'll remind the people who is a champion, right? And you're looking at a guy in Kristaps Porzingis who's height, right? He's a 7-footer. He can stretch the court whenever he wants to. He can easily take control of just rebounds and just pretty much off the glass, off the paint type of guy. So, like I said, we have a whole bunch of all-stars on this team, right? So it's not just about one guy taking control. It's about the whole. It's about the team as a whole. So,
No, I agree.
That's the team that you're going to see.
And it
I
doesn't
agree.
matter who they play. This isn't a one-game playoff. They know that those teams, JR, are not beating the Celtics 4 out of 7 times. I don't care how bad they play. They might win 2 games. A bad team, if the Celtics play terribly, it goes 6. Terribly.
Let it be known. Let it be known.
Extremely terribly would be a 7-game series.
Let it be known here that it was
Not in
said
the
on
first round.
TSA. Let it be known. Let it be known that that for the number of people on this panel right now, I was the one detractor that said it ain't all fine out in the East. This day in the league around the world is equally as important because of the late and great Kobe Bryant, but also the same people said the same thing about the Bucks last season. And
right. Hold up.
Right. And look at
what happens to
happened.
Giannis, though? What happens if Giannis doesn't get
go
hurt?
ahead, Evan, and I'll trail afterwards.
If Giannis doesn't get hurt, the Bucks don't lose that series to Miami.
And that's my point. That's my point.
You're talking an injury then.
It's
Okay. Well, back up. If obviously if Tatum goes down, then something changes. But if we're talking all things equal, no team in the first round has any business taking Boston deep.
I'll give you one. I'll give you one B then. How many of those losses for Boston this season came to a subpar team?
A lot, but those are regular season games, JR.
Those
for
are
a
regular
team.
season games. Like, let's take a look at Milwaukee's
those
last
don't
few
matter,
games, right?
bro.
Let's
look at the
take a look
Lakers
at
last year.
Milwaukee's
Those
last two
don't
games,
matter.
right?
You confuse the
And
regular
they had
season
Giannis
with the
and,
postseason
Dame,
round
right?
too much. Those games don't mean crap.
A lot of the habits carried over.
Habits, they're gonna win 64 games.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me put my 2 cents in here real quick. And I think this is something that we don't necessarily talk about much, but something that needs to be brought up in the NBA as a whole. Coaching matters. And I'm gonna say this with all the love in my heart. Coaching does matter. And you look at what Boston's coaching tree looks like. They've had 3 coaches this season already, just about.
Yep.
No freaking scheme. Just to seem like they've been operating somewhat decently for most of the season. But look who they got at the helm right now in Doc Rivers, and we know his track record. That is going to make a big difference this playoff season. I love Milwaukee. I love Giannis. I love what they've done all season. And I was one of the ones beating my chest saying that they were going to be the ones coming out of the East, and then all this stuff happened.
Yeah.
If Doc, I'm telling you, Doc is going to have his hand on this playoff run in some way, shape, or form in the worst fashion possible. And y'all gonna see it happen first and foremost, and everybody's gonna be like, "Damn."
Exactly.
Garbage handle the East.
And if you look at Milwaukee and what they've done lately, like there's a reason why they're 3-7 of their last 10 games. There's a reason. Why is that? Why is that? Can somebody explain?
Giannis is hurt. That's why.
I don't necessarily say. I'm not necessarily saying that the Celtics don't have a chance to win it all, because on paper, in the face, they are that team. I'm just saying it ain't gonna be as clean as we expect it to be. One thing could go wrong, and it may not even be an injury. There's just a track record of y'all sleepwalking through games. And I swear, if y'all get caught 2 games in a row, y'all gonna be sitting there wondering what happened. It's the same thing as last season.
You're not necessarily wrong, but at the end of the day, I mean, we're gonna finish with only 18 losses, which is more than what any Celtics fan had predicted. You know, it is what it is, right? I get it. It's Boston. We have a track record. I get it. but this current iteration of the Boston Celtics, I believe, can be that team that's just gonna dog walk the East. I'm sorry, it is what it is.
Hey, we just watched the Spurs team beat the Nuggets, right, Iggy? And I love the Nuggets as a basketball fan, but this team just blew a 23-point lead against one of the worst teams in basketball. To lose 18 games in the NBA, this is the NBA, JR. Every night we see even the Pistons upset a few teams, right? Like, teams have bad losses. And not only that, this team has had the number one seed for how long? They really haven't had an important game.
We've had the number one seed
in months. So think about it. Everybody takes nights off in the NBA. So those losses to me in the regular season, again, that don't translate to a team, especially the first round or second round, losing 4 out of 7. If it was a 1 or 3 game series and they lost a game they shouldn't lose, I would be more on that truck with you, JR. But series are so long that this team, if they're as is, I just can't see that. I mean, 1 or 2 bad games, that's still a 6-game series, maybe 7 plus home court. Nothing's easy, right? But they're I don't know. There's not a lot of challenge in the East for that team, but we can
I'll hang out on the line out here. We'll switch it to the best coast. I know that we gotta keep it pushing. I'll die out on the vine out here though.
No. I just want to say what's up, Wendy. Thank you for saying what's up. We really appreciate you tuning in. We got over 100 people watching. So if you don't mind, just give us a like, click subscribe if you're not subscribed to the Sports Affiliation already. And come join these conversations with us. We appreciate all the input we can. I just want to wrap it up by saying Doc Rivers' track record. I mean, he's got 1,000 wins and Boston's only championship since 1986. I mean, there is some good things about Doc that's not there. I just don't know, because here, what it's going to take to beat Boston is somebody to bully them up. And I don't know who's in the playoffs in the East besides Milwaukee that has that opportunity. That's the only team that could somewhat bully Boston with Portis, with Lopez, with Giannis. And if Lillard's hot, he can score just as many threes as them. I don't know. Boston's going to be difficult. But let's, like you said, the West is best, JR. Let's get over there. Rico, just hop right into it, man. Who do you have being in the 7-8 game? First off, let me bring up this slide first. But because right now Phoenix can jump New Orleans. I believe they own the tiebreaker. So if Phoenix wins, New Orleans loses against the Golden State, I believe today, right? Then Phoenix could be in there. As of right now, you guys Lakers are sitting with a 10-game behind, so they have a game advantage over Sacramento, over the Warriors. The Lakers are playing. Who are they playing again today, guys?
New Orleans. We're playing New Orleans.
The Pelicans. Okay. Yeah, that's right. And the Kings are playing the Portland, and the Warriors are playing Utah Jazz. So those are the 3 games we have right there. Like I said, Los Angeles, Phoenix currently 7-8. Sacramento, Golden State kind of flipping and flopping. That's going to be interesting how that breaks down because that's a rivalry in itself. But do you see the play-in being like this, Rico, or do you think that there's going to be an unexpected change? Maybe New Orleans gets into it.
For my mental sanity, it better say it like this because I'm gonna say this first and foremost. The fact that we struggled the way we did against Memphis a couple nights ago was abysmal, ridiculous, absurd, any other adjective you want to call it.
We also played an extra minute.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I mean, and then you had the Warriors game the other night where Draymond was pretty much the second coming of Steph Curry, apparently, because he couldn't miss from behind the arc, which didn't make any damn sense to me. We dropped the last 3 games. 2 of the last 3 before that Grizzlies game. If we have a chance to make a run, and this is a big if, it has to come from the 7-8 spot. I don't trust us to be in that 9-10 situation because if you see the way we played against Memphis the other night, we over here just dragging our feet and everything. And it just, granted, we have Braun and AD going crazy, but I'm just sitting here like, come on now. We can't sit here and just depend on them for every single game. Like the rest of these other guys got to step up. D'Lo wasn't playing to his standards as well. And if he plays like that in the playoffs, then we are really in trouble. But I think we have a good shot at taking New Orleans today and being in that 7-8 matchup. And, we'll see how it plays out. And I think if that were the case, depending on how other things go, we may end up, I guess, playing New Orleans again in the 7-8 matchup.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, but to be completely honest, I would love to see Phoenix in this play-in. If I'm being completely honest, just not us play them, but see them in the play-in, just because you look at how top-heavy this roster is with Beal, with Durant, with Booker, and everybody else in the squad. Everybody was, there's a lot of people out there that were saying, "Oh my God, they're going to be one of the best teams in the West," and yet they're still sitting at the bottom of the conference. And that just goes to show you, like, all this, you can have a great team on paper, but that don't mean nothing if you don't have continuity, because, you've had Bill be out some games, Grant be out some games, Book be out some games. And that makes a difference once it gets closer to playoff time. If you don't have that continuity going into this postseason, it's going to be tough. And then you have to, play a 7-game series, and you have to worry about matchups and coaches like having to make matchups like game in, game out. But yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be staying like this, and you're going to see Phoenix. Phoenix is probably going to be the 6th seed. And then you have us play New Orleans in the play-in, and then you'll see Sacramento and Golden State in that 9-10. That's kind of how I see it playing out right now. But God, if I don't want to say it, but if we lose today, like I said, I'm gonna go on and say this. Y'all gonna have to say a prayer for me, SoCal and JR.
He got a whole speech ready too. If the Lakers lose.
Rico, I got a question for you. Did you say you want to see Phoenix in that 7th spot?
No, I want to see them in the play-in just to kind of see, like.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure and clarify.
Yeah,
because
I see them in the play-in just because, like I said, you've seen this roster. I want to see how they are when their back's against the wall, like this, because you don't have that comfort of being in the 6th spot. So
got it. Okay. So the most interesting thing about every game today for the West, every game today, you're not just looking at, you got the number 1 seed on the line. You got the play-in or playoffs on the line. You also have draft order on the line. Don't forget about that. So everyone's positioning, but some people cannot figure out who their lineup is going to be before the game starts, because a lot of these games start concurrently. That's the most phenomenal thing about all the games today in the West Coast. So
great schedule making.
Yeah, it's not like you can just say, "Oh, we're gonna sit LeBron today because AD needs the tune-up game and da 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 da," or "Oh, we got to play everybody today for New Orleans because we're definitely gonna need that 6th spot because there's definitely a chance for us to get that." I'm saying, like, it's absolutely mind-blowing where you have to just go in and you have to ball out today and just hope that that's enough. Now, everybody finishes ahead of the Lakers. Keep in mind that the Lakers play Golden State in that scenario because Sacramento owns a tiebreaker versus Los Angeles. So that would mean that it would be it would actually, I believe it's going to be Lakers in the 9th spot, Golden State in the 10th spot, and Sacramento would be in the 8th spot. And then even if the Lakers win and beat New Orleans would be then mathematically in the 7th spot. So it will be Sacramento at New Orleans. Yeah. But I don't think that's how it's going to finish.
But if the Lakers win, JR, they wouldn't be in the 9-10 though.
If Sacramento won, keep in mind, Sacramento wins. Sacramento owns a tiebreaker over the Lakers.
No, the Lakers are a game better. Not if the Lakers win. The Lakers right now, they win. They're the 8th seed.
Yeah, it's 10, 11, 11.
They lost the other day. I keep forgetting that.
We got help.
We got help. So we did the post, gold and purple tickets. Again, go look at the sportsaffiliation.com. Did a little prediction as to how the last 9 games of the season were going to end. Lakers are 5-3 right now. I call it 6-3. It's a dub today. Lakers going to end in that 8th spot. New Orleans, Los Angeles, Sacramento, Golden State. And I'm going even further. Because of the way that everything is going to end up, we're going to skip Denver. Okay? Lakers are going for that 7th spot. Lakers are going for that 7th spot to play SGA and Oklahoma City Thunder because of matchups. Okay, it's going to be Denver, OKC, Minnesota. I believe that's a mathematical possibility for it to end for the games today.
Right.
And for that 8th spot, because we got to see Steph Curry one more time and Draymond in the playoffs one more time, we're going to get Golden State in that 8th spot for the playoffs.
That's going to be the highest rated play-in game, viewed game since when they dreamed up the play-in. This is what they envisioned.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think they could envision something this good with a dying dynasty and LeBron James and the Lakers maybe possibly making a run. It's pretty cool. Dude, yeah, and I love the East Coast games being at the same time, like you talked about, JR. The West Coast games are at the same time. The one cross conference game, San Antonio versus Detroit, both out of it. Like they nailed the schedule, man. They absolutely nailed it. So yeah, exactly. Lottery picks. We'll see how it all shakes out for them. But yeah, Evan, do you have anything to add about? Or how do you feel about 7, 8, 9, 10? Do you feel anything different? And then we'll bounce it over to D, and we'll kind of run through the playoffs real quick. Just kind of the first round. Who do you expect to get out of it? And then we'll just wrap it up with some bets. But Evan, what do you got? Do you think anything different about 7, 8, 9, 10?
I mean, I gotta, the Lakers got to win today. I mean, they got AD, they got LeBron in the lineup.
Well, hold up. If they win today, do you think the Suns are beating Minnesota? Like, how do you think
that's where I'm getting to. I don't know, because Minnesota's still got plenty to play for, right? I mean, they got a chance. Probably not the 1 seed, because I mean, the Thunder would really have to come and be flat to lose that game. So to me, it's Thunder 1. And I mean, if Minnesota wins, right, they're 2, and Denver slides into the 3. But I mean, Phoenix can win that game, right? I mean, I don't think that matchup is a heck of a game. I think
it's the game of the day for sure.
Yeah, it probably is outside of and Lakers Pelicans. I mean, because the Pelicans win that game, they're out of the play-in, right? They're locked into the 6, so they got everything in the world to play for. Mm-hmm. And the Lakers don't want to play 2 games, right? I mean, they don't want to fall into that 9-10 game and have to win and then win again, right? They want 1 game, 1 win, be the 7th seed. My only concern with that is if Minnesota does lose and Denver becomes the 2 seed, then I don't want to be the 7th seed. I don't. I want whatever happens today to avoid the Nuggets as long as possible, because check this out, man. The Lakers healthy. I'm sorry. Nobody else in the West, and just like we're talking about, I know Boston's been a way better regular season team, but we saw the Lakers last year. Nobody outside of the Nuggets beats the Lakers in a 7-game series in the playoffs just like last year.
I humbly disagree. Darvin Ham beats the Lakers in the 7-game series.
I mean, they had Darvin Ham last year.
These Lakers fans, they already got their speeches prepared.
They're ready for it, man.
They had Darvin Ham last year too, So I mean, Adam talking about Thunder losing to bad teams, and I agree. I just think that today in that matchup, they're getting it too easy, But hey, if you come out and take it lightly, this is the NBA. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're playing. Who are the Thunder playing today?
The Thunder are playing the Mavericks. The Mavericks have everybody out.
No Luka, no Kyrie. You could easily see a band of NBA players, right? That
two-way players
to come out.
Yep.
And somebody dropped 30, and the Thunder wind up like, what the hell happened? I don't disagree with that, but I think I think they'll be a little more focused in that. But again, it is the NBA. The last day of the season changing drastically wouldn't be surprising. But number 1 seed on the line, I think they win it. But I just think the Lakers, man, they were playing some good ball before AD. Once again, that dude needs to wear an eye mask or something.
Hey, look, I'll get my glasses if you need them.
Bro, take those bad boys up. Give me the Kurt Rambis. Tie those bad boys up, dude, and get out there, because they were clicking, man, a few games ago where the 6th seed was possibly there for the taking before that little run of those 2 losses. Pelicans are playing hot, right? But I think the Lakers win that game. I think Golden State beats Sacramento as they did in the first round last year. I think they just the experience. They play defense. I don't trust the Kings defense in a playoff series or a playoff game. They don't play defense. That's why Sabonis doesn't get talked about, because the Kings are in a playing game and they don't play defense as a team. So they're not up there enough to get recognition, right?
Yeah.
Warriors win. Lakers win. So Warriors then would play the Pelicans. That would be a hell of a game. I think in that one, the Pelicans do have the defense, but does the NBA want Steph Curry to go home and not see them in the first round? But that would be a hell of a matchup. So that's how I see it playing out. I'll leave the rest of my comments. Other than what Ari said about the Mavs, I do want to get you guys' take on that. So the Mavs still had a chance to get home court in that Clippers series, and they rested Kyrie and Luka the other night. Why would you do that and just say we're fine with going on the road against a team that's knocked you out of the playoffs? I don't understand that. Do any of you agree with doing that when the 4 seed was still there for the taking?
Yes.
Lucas set out some games. Kyrie set out some games.
Yeah.
I think it's more important that you got to have those guys. What it tells me is they're not intimidated by the Clippers at all.
Yep.
They're just not. They're just not nervous about
I
it.
wouldn't be intimidated by the Clippers either.
I'm gonna be real with you. And this is, you can call it Lakers bias. I don't care. Like, it's the playoffs and it's the Clippers. I understand. You know, they got a whole different squad this year with the addition of James Harden and stuff like that. But my thing of it is, you're gonna have James Harden probably be the James Harden that we've seen in the playoffs previously in Philly and Houston and a lot of these other stops. And then one of the biggest things that the Clippers got to worry about in this offseason is, are y'all keeping PG? Like,
Pretty
this
much.
is pretty much gonna be like the last chance y'all got to make a run at a championship with this possible squad, and y'all sitting over here like dangling the carrot in front of him, was like, hey, you want to make sure we gonna keep you or not? I mean, there's talks of him possibly going to Philly next year, so I'm just saying,
5 whole years they had that core, 5 whole years of
Hey,
PG.
but scared or not, you don't want a chance with 2 games left with these guys healthy. It's not. I mean, they're as healthy as you can be at your 81st and 82nd game of the season. You don't want home court in a playoff series.
I think that Dallas has one of the better road records in the West Coast this year. So taking all things into account, considering that they're still getting their interior defense back to 100% health, the Clippers do not have a really good interior attack. And considering how well Gafford and what's the other kid's name? Have been
PJ Washington. PJ Washington.
Yeah, PJ have been playing on the interior defense. I really think that as far as a matchup, Dallas just feels that they match up well in the 7-game series with Los Angeles. Doesn't matter if it's home or away. They're just going to go for it. And I like it. I'm all for it. I say rest your guys. I know that the chance is there, but it's short-term pain for a long-term game type of scenario. It's probably the one series where they were able to game plan for and say, you know what? It is what it is. We'll figure it out. And we'll just let the chips fall where they may. Besides, it's ball. Play wherever, hoop, and beat who's in front of you.
Yeah, y'all act like starting out in LA is a bad thing. I mean, going to LA in April doesn't sound too bad.
If you go game 7 and you got a game 7, you want that game at home. Like, I hear everything you're saying, and I don't disagree with them being confident in this and that, but to just outright forfeit a chance to host an elimination game, it doesn't make sense to me. And I know Harden is Harden, but he's Harden with a PG and a Kawhi. He's not the Harden of the Rockets by himself. Like, you know me, I'm not over here selling Clippers tickets or rooting for the Clippers by any means.
Absolutely not.
This is a tight contested series that could easily be one that does go 7, and you're just forfeiting your right at a possible home game there against a team that's been pretty good. And I know this core's been together, but you look at this year, Kawhi and PG have finally played a lot of games together. They've won a lot of games when they've actually been healthy. Just something they haven't been able to do over the course of these last few seasons, right? I think they played more games this year than they did combined the whole time they've been together.
Absolutely,
yeah. So if Kawhi's healthy, to me, Kawhi's the X factor in that series. So, I mean, we're kind of on that series right now, right? And that's the matchup we know, 4-5 in LA, obviously. I think Kawhi's the X factor there. A healthy Kawhi, I think the Clippers find a way in a long series to have enough. I like what JR said about the interior D. But those 3 guys with Kawhi being there before, I think he makes a little bit of a difference. And again, if it goes 7, give me the home team. So
yeah, I think if it goes 7, they're going to be looking at Luka Doncic and they're going to know what's coming at him, and they're going to know they're not going to be able to stop him. That's where Luka's at in his career. You can't be the best player that y'all all like said he deserves MVP or he's the most valuable player. Come to Game 7, you're going to be looking at that, and you know what's going to be coming at you. Clippers barely got out of the Game 7 against him 3 years ago. He's 3 years more mature now. Has Kyrie now. Forget about it. If it goes to Game 7, I'm going to be laying a lot of money on Dallas to win that game in LA.
I don't think it's going to go to a Game 7, to be honest.
Yeah, I think they'll knock it out in 6. I think Dallas has a lot more. Like, Dallas has played so well since the All-Star break compared to the Clippers. the Clippers have just been off and on, off and on. It seems like, yeah, they played a lot of games, but are they 100% coming this late into the season? I don't know. We'll see. They don't have a center. Dallas doesn't really have a center. It's going to be a pretty interesting play, I think, if that happens.
I want to say Dallas in 5, but the logical person in me is saying Dallas in 6.
5?
Dallas in 5.
If Kawhi's hurt, maybe. I don't know. Is Kawhi hurt or has Kawhi just been resting?
I
right?
mean, yeah, I understand that Kawhi and PG, they've been both playing, suitable amount of games. That is correct. But I mean, are we even sure that this is the same Kawhi Leonard as from like a few years ago? I don't know.
I mean, this is the most games he's played in like the last few years, so I would assume
that is correct. So
Kawhi is a dog. Kawhi is a dog, man. He's still.
And I'm not knocking on Kawhi Leonard because obviously he's one of the best two-way players that I've ever seen growing up. But like I said, he's getting up there in age, so I don't know.
I think that's interesting.
If Luka and Kyrie can be fully rested, I believe that they can take out the Clippers with no problem.
This is the one series I know for a fact. I feel like if it goes 7, I'm not going to be surprised, and I'm actually hoping it goes 7. Out of any other matchups, like in the first round, this is the one we know for sure. But this is like going to be the most back and forth series that you're probably going to see in the first round.
Two great coaches too, Tyrone Lue and Jason Kidd. I mean, it's going to be a battle between those two. Know about it. But let's just go ahead and start rounding it up. We got maybe about 10 more minutes, and I want to get everybody's 4 teams that advance out of the East, 4 teams advance out of the West. Don't have to give a whole lot of description on it. Just who do you think's going? Who are we going to see in the second round after the play? And we'll be back next Sunday, of course, to talk about this more. But I just want to get it on record right now. Let's start with you, D. Who do you got?
Let's see. The teams that I do see coming out of the East
and the West. Yes, sir. The 4 teams.
And the West. All right. Let's see. I mean, wait. Do they have to be like playing teams that I see?
No, who do you think is going to win the 1 through 8 once the playoffs start? So you got Boston playing. We don't know. We got Milwaukee's going to be playing somebody. New York's going to be playing somebody. 4 or 5 seed is completely up for grabs. I don't have no clue. But who do you think is going to do it?
I think the teams that I do see coming out of the East, I know that we haven't mentioned them yet. The Knicks look like that they're in like pretty good shape as of right now. Yeah, yes, I understand that they lost Julius Randle, but even without Julius Randle, I still think that this team can be a good playoff opponent for the Celtics. To be honest with you, and then I will say, maybe the Magic, and then the Magic, yep, and the Bucks. Even though I still have my doubts about that team, but that's a different topic for a different time. And then the last team I see just battling out in the East. Philly is pretty much on a tear at this point. So if they make it out of the play-in, which is bound to happen at this point, then I could definitely see them try to compete for contention, even though that they'll get dismissed by Boston one way or the other. So
I love it. So you got your teams out in the East and the West. You have four teams that you think will make it out of the first round.
Number 1, this is in no particular order. Iggy, I have your Nuggets making it out of the West because I feel like they're the most complete team out of any team in the West. I mean, they basically have Jokic and Murray, who is probably one of the best 1-2 punches in the league thus far, right? So I'll leave it at that. And then, this is where it gets interesting. I potentially see Dallas making it there too, contingent on Luka and Kyrie both staying healthy and both putting up monster performances.
Yep.
Number 3, I think, I do definitely see, should I say Minnesota? Yeah, I'll say Minnesota just because, Anthony Edwards and, hopefully they get Karl Anthony Towns back in time for the playoffs. I think I've seen several reports that he might be available for the first round. So hopefully he comes back. And then Rudy Gobert, obviously being a defensive anchor on that team, the big 3 in Minnesota. So that's pretty much my third team. And then my fourth team, This is where it gets tough. I'm gonna say OKC just because all that youth on that all that youth on that team, like it's pretty much difficult for any of the older teams to deal with because they just have so much energy on that team, and SGA is just an absolute monster when he's on the paint, when he's on the court. So who knows?
All right. I love it. So he's got his 4 teams out west: Minnesota, OKC, Denver, and Dallas.
Yeah, sorry,
right.
sorry, Lakers fans. I wish I could say you, but the Bucks got to end for you at some point.
I love it. JR, who do you got? 4 teams out west, 4 teams out east. How's it going?
You say hi. You say hi. Of course, you can see we're all waking up, just like all the teams that are going to be going into the second round will be waking up. Of course, yeah, we definitely got Boston in the second round. That's no question there. Knicks second round team. The question then becomes, as far as seeding is concerned, which is going to actually make a factor out west as well. Best team flat out to be able to make a run. I'm just going to throw this out there. I don't think New York's going to play Indiana. So I think Indiana actually has a chance to make it out. Like if they get matched up with the Bucks and we don't get 100% Giannis, I think that could be a team that can make it out there. And
I like it.
I have number 4 as a complete toss-up because, again, the seeding thing is absolutely insane. So I don't have a number 4. Number 4 is not a lot for coming out of the second round. It's just a complete question mark for me.
Okay.
Out west, matchups going to matter.
Mm-hmm.
Denver's making it out. And I think I'm going to agree. I'm going to say Dallas, not just being a Clippers hater, but because I think just Dallas just matches up a little bit too well with Los Angeles. Too much top-heavy performance as far as the offense is concerned. And then the last 2, the only way OKC makes it out is if they don't play the Lakers. Because otherwise it's going to be the Lakers. Because I saw, Evan, I saw your reaction to that, and it's the overall assumption that the Lakers are gunning for OKC, which it might not be possible. Might end up playing Minnesota, which is why I was going to say the Lakers over Minnesota, because if the Lakers play Minnesota, I know that Minnesota has our number, but I think that we figure them out with 100% and some extra 3-point shooting from D'Lo and Reeves this season. So that is Denver, that's Lakers, that is Dallas, and OKC.
Love it. All right, Evan, what do you got? 4 teams each side real quick for me.
Yeah, the West is tough, man, because like I said, if the Lakers draw the Nuggets, it's over, man. We can't even beat the Nuggets in one game. And I'm sorry, we just don't match up with them. They just are too good. We saw last year we played 4 really good games in the playoffs. Couldn't find a way to even win one. Nobody really matched up with Denver that well, to be honest. And Jamal Murray looks plenty fine after the other night. I know they lost, but he looked great. 35 in 29 minutes. Enough for the Nuggets. I think they're the best team in the league. Let's go with the West, man. Give me the Nuggets. It's going to matter, though, like who the Lakers play, right? So I'm going to assume this right now, and we can change this next week. The Lakers avoid the Nuggets. So Denver, I think the Lakers then would be playing Minnesota. I think the Lakers can beat Minnesota or OKC. Again, I'm back on that train of these young teams that play great in the regular season. I'm all for it. We saw like Sacramento last year. The playoffs are a different beast, a 7-game series. You can kind of hone in on some of it. I just don't know if they have enough to take out a team like the Lakers. So give me the Lakers and even the Thunder, man. If they draw the Warriors or the Pelicans, that is going to be a very, very tough series against an experienced Warriors team or a Pelicans team that, man, with Zion healthy, we saw how good they were last year before he got hurt. They're showing who they are right now. And that game today, man, Pelicans-Lakers is going to be a doozy. I think either one of those teams could knock out the Thunder. I just think it's one of those things where great regular seasons don't always translate over, and it's not a knock on the Thunder. It's just a knock on having enough to get through 7 games. And I think the Pelicans and or Warriors are better suited for a 7-game series in that matchup. So I'm going to say that the winner of Pelicans-Warriors takes out the Thunder. I'm going to say that the Lakers take out the T-Wolves. I'm going to say the Nuggets advance, and I'm taking the Clippers. I think Kawhi's too much. I think in a long series, Kyrie and Luka do their thing. I think they come up just a little bit short, though, once again, assuming Kawhi's healthy. I mean, if not, and I think Russell Westbrook is a huge X factor on any team, what he does and comes in. We saw when he had that injury, the difference it made to that team. He's back. He's healthy. It matters. So give me those 4. Give me the Celtics. Give me the Bucks, assuming Giannis is healthy, but that's what we're rolling with right now. I think the matchup, if he's not healthy, that totally changes, like JR said. Give me the Knicks. And I agree that 4th game, I want to say the Cavs because I think they have enough offense and they also play defense. But the thing about all those teams in the middle is they all play pretty good defense. None of them are very good offensive teams. So we're going to get like a late 90s Heat Knicks type first-round matchup in that 4-5 series, and I'm here for it. I love it. Give me some Charles Oakley. Give me some physicality. Give me some 95, 89 scores in an era where teams score 120 a night. I want it. I just don't know who it's going to be, and so who can muster up enough offense? And so, I'll say the Cavs right now, but that would be all top 4 advancing, and maybe that's what it is. That might be the case over there, but I definitely reserve the right to change that come next Sunday when we see the picture changing.
I love it. Rico, what you got for us?
I'll say this out. I'm gonna start out east. Boston is a for sure lot. We already got that locked up. I would imagine for them. The Knicks, I would say they're going to be doing pretty well as well. I want to say, like I said, injuries. You hate to see them. I would love to see Milwaukee make a run. So I will say them pending if they got a healthy Giannis. And then kind of going off of what Evan said, that 4-5 matchup is going to be something else because we don't necessarily know who Cleveland has as far as their opponents yet. It could be Orlando. It could be Indy. It could be Philly for all we know. We don't necessarily know just yet. That matchup is going to be something else, though. And I will say I'm going to take the Cavs for right now, mainly because – they got Spider. They got a great young core, with Evan Mobley and Isaac Core and all those other guys. So they should be it's pretty much chalk for me in that sense as far as the top 4. Out west, it's kind of a different story. I think that OKC is going to draw that number 1 seed, but I do think they have a chance to advance out of the first round. I feel like they've been doing pretty well this year. We've been having talks about SGA being, an MVP candidate. He's been one of the best players in the league this year. So I will say OKC is going to make it out of first. Denver, obviously, regardless of who they get, best team in the West, best team in the league, you can argue. There's really not much of a chance to stop them. So you just better hope and pray. If Jokic is chucking up, 40-foot shots like this and just throwing them at the rim and hitting it, it's not much you can do to stop it. So I'll say OKC. I'll say Denver. I'm going to say Dallas, obviously. I think they have, the firepower to overcome the Clippers this year. Obviously, the last couple of matchups, the Luka and the Mavs have had against the Clippers, he pretty much has been by himself, and I think this year with Kyrie, you have a potent, backcourt. So I feel like Kyrie is going to have something to prove as well. So I would take the Clippers on that one. And then I'm going to say it with all of my heart, the Lakers are going to be finding a way to make it into the second round. I'm not really that big on Minnesota. Like, I understand they got Cat back. They're going to, Cat played I think this most recent game they had. I look at just the size we got. We got Jackson Hayes, we got AD. If he can stay healthy, that'll be great for us. Hopefully, D'Lo can show up the way he's supposed to. If Rui and Austin they're clicking on all cylinders with LeBron and AD, then I feel like we should be able to prevail over them in a good matchup. So that's my 4 from each conference. So.
I love it, man. I love it. Yeah, and I'm just going to wrap it up real quick. I'm going to say West is almost chalk for me. I think OKC, Denver, Minnesota, and Dallas advance. In the East, I got some surprises for you. I think Boston obviously advances. I think they're going to play Orlando in the second round. I think Orlando advances as a 5 seed over Cleveland. And then I'm also going to take hold on. So who do I have? Boston, Orlando, and then I think it's going to be Philadelphia upsetting the New York Knicks in the second seed. I think Philadelphia is going to run into a fully gassed out New York Knicks team, and they're not going to have an answer for Embiid. I think Embiid advances as a 7th seed to play the Indiana Pacers, who I think are going to beat the Milwaukee Bucks in the 3rd seed. So Indiana winning as a 6th seed need. There's too much offense. Like, Evan, you said there's no offense. Well, Indiana's like the highest scoring team in the Eastern Conference, I believe, or in the NBA. So I think that offense could get past it. Rick Carlisle is a great head coach. I think that those are kind of an interesting way for the East to break down. Once again, I think it'll be Boston versus Orlando, and then Indiana versus Philadelphia. So I'm just expecting some surprises in the East. In the West, I'm expecting the best teams to go. And then, that's it for our show. We're going to do it here again next week. Does anybody have anything real quick they want to say before we get out of here? I got CJ McCollum over 23.5 points against the Lakers. Lakers don't play defense. They're going to have to get it done with offense. But CJ McCollum has been on fire without Brandon Ingram. He has been playing lights out.
And I text Iggy at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I said, I know you're on CJ McCollum again tomorrow night. And I'm on the Lakers, of course, but I'm on the CJ McCollum train. I don't care. He can score 40. The Lakers still win the game. They win games all the time, losing the point guard battle. But I love the CJ call. Give me 2 other guards today, too. Give me Dame over 27.5. I think he puts on a show. I know, Iggy, you like Orlando today, clearly by your picks. I will say your picks could drastically change if the Magic don't win today because the seeding will be all different. But and give me Maxey as well. Give me Maxey at home against Brooklyn, who's not good against point guards, over 23.5. So I like all 3 guards today to do their thing. McCollum over 23.5, Maxey over 23.5, and Dame, who's actually over 27.5, is plus money right now. Orlando, their one weakness is point guards. No Giannis. I think Dame shows out in a win or a loss in that game. So,
love it. Anybody else got anything else to say?
I know we got a lot of NBA talk today, but don't forget that we just rolled off of the women's NCAA finals. We were all about the Caitlin Clark show. We talked a lot about LSU stars, talked about everyone coming out of South Carolina. Listen, the draft is right around the corner for the WNBA, and teams are locked in, not just to try to get the best players available, but to try to get those ticket boosts. And everyone's on the Chicago Sky right now. Listen, I'm telling y'all right now, y'all need to stay locked in. It is a movie going on for the Dub.
I love it. I agree. I do want to say I'm a little worried about the Suns, so I hope Denver doesn't play the Suns in the first round, but I'm not too worried about it all. We got a lot of futures bets. We'll go over that next week. Come join us, same time, same place. Should be most of this amazing cast right here. For JR, for Deontay, for Rico, for Evan, I'm Iggy. We are the Sports Affiliation. You are the Sports Affiliation. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Bye.